Big developments this afternoon as Nancy Pelosi contends that a second stimulus deal will be hatched by this weekend. Oh my goodness. And for unemployment, she's currently at $600 a week. She's unmoved. Steve Mnuchin apparently has gone the other way. He is now at $400. The president has retreated from $450 for 8 weeks and $600 for 5 weeks down to $400. So I don't know what's going on there. But the good news is it's all retroactive, honey. All retroactive. It does not have the $1 threshold. It goes back to when FPUC expired, and it could pay you all the way to January. And this is Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and really shocking developments on the FPUC unemployment UI and PUA twists and turns, as Nancy Pelosi represents to news that she believes a deal will be hatched between her and Steve Mnuchin by the end of the weekend. If this is true, and this is her opinion, it's absolutely categorically incredible, because ultimately for FPUC, it's going to land somewhere between $400 to $600 a week and retroactive without a $100 threshold. The entire video is told to you in 10 seconds. I don't hold anything to the very end, but now I'm going to get to the incredible details after you go to the first channel, subscribe. Subscribe because I absolutely keep you to the bone, updated by the minute. Also like this video. This is now part of our 4-hour programming block every day here on LLA. Thank you for tuning in to 14, our new series that debuted this morning. That is every single day for the next 13 days. Today was episode 1 of the 14 days that follows the president for his 14 days of quarantine because of COVID-19 and how it impacts your second stimulus check. But if Nancy Pelosi's correct, you know, after maybe day 3 of the 14, you may actually have a stimulus package agreement. Pretty crazy. Let's get to the incredible breaking news minutes ago. Nancy Pelosi says that the deal for the second stimulus package could be hatched by Sunday. And when I say these words, I want to make them very clear to you. And I think I've made it clear, but I have a lot of new viewers on here. Thank you for joining this channel. I really appreciate it. We're now at 208,000 subscribers. A bill is not law because Nancy and Steve agreed to something on the telephone. And I just got to make that clear. I just sort of think it's obvious, but it's been a day in which I dropped a trailer for 60 seconds. That was a 60-second trailer. Someone's like, how come it cuts off after 60 seconds? I'm like, it's a trailer. It's a trailer. Trailers don't go on for 20 minutes unless, you know, it's a War and Peace or a Disney movie. It's just like, and then last night I had all the tweets that said, the president's COVID, he's never going to do anything for the next 14 days. I'm like, that doesn't mean he doesn't do anything. Chris Cuomo was in his basement recording for 5 months, you know. Okay, so let's get to the incredible details. The incredible details are that Nancy Pelosi contends there will be a deal by Sunday, potentially, in your second stimulus package. If that's true, where would FPUC land? How would it land? What would it work? And how would it fall? She is currently at $600 a week, she confirms to news. He is at $400 a week, she claims to news. This would be sort of confusing because ultimately what had happened was the president has sort of gone this way and that way on numbers. Remember, LWA is $300 a week. Republicans had tried $200 a week, then they tried $300 a week. But during the negotiations of July, Mnuchin went to $400 a week. According to Pelosi, he's still at $400 a week. This is confusing because earlier this week, Steve Mnuchin said, I support the problem solvers bill, which is 1.5. And then he came in at 1.6 when he introduced his counteroffer to Pelosi on about Thursday. Well, the problem solvers bill is $450 a week for 8 weeks and then 5 weeks at $600 a week. So when did Steve from the problem solvers bill go backwards the other way to $400 a week? It's really not clear. This is a bunch of people that simply can't get their numbers straight or confusing me. Needless to say, after sitting with these parties dealing with 400 at Mnuchin and 600 for Pelosi since July, they're still at 400 and 600 to this very minute. So where could this land? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and guess, and I really have almost no opinion about it, except just do it at 500 and call it a day, folks. It's just a bunch of silliness. Come on already. It's also silliness if she's holding out for 600 and won't do 500. It's really sort of crazy. The deal would be retroactive. So it would be retroactive to September. This is incredibly great news. Let me go over how this would work. The HEROES Act would revive the $600 in additional unemployment benefits that issued by the federal government through the CARES Act. As you know, that was the March to July, FPUC 1.0. It ran out at the end of July. Well, it didn't run out, it expired. That's bad language of a news article. The next round of FPUC would be retroactive beginning September 6th, retroactive, and running through the end of January 2021. That's really good. I like that's the end of January 2021. I hate this December 31st stuff. It's just horrible. Happy New Year. Oh, you have no FPUC tomorrow. I just have it end of January, please. The unemployed in states are currently receiving about $300 a week through LWA. That's generally, the 6 weeks have run out. They're now paying those 6 weeks. Some have still not even paid the 5th week, let alone the 4th week. But through those cap out at 6 weeks, many states have already run out of funds. Will the FPUC go on top of the LWA? It's really not clear. I have always said that the FPUC 2.0 would not go on top, would go on top of LWA. So let's say it's the $600 Pelosi, and you got LWA, then it would be 600 minus 300. You would get an additional $300 for the week back. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's an additional sum, so you could end up getting 900 per week. I think it's wishful thinking. I can't imagine that happening. But that's where we are. There's no indication yet about whether PUA weeks would be extended. Remember, PUA under the CARES Act 1 was about 30-something weeks, so it's not clear whether you'll get more weeks of PUA. It's also not clear if they will extend FPUC. Remember, FPUC is that program that allows you to have extended weeks of unemployment benefits after you run out. Let me go over your number of weeks of benefits, because I get that question a lot, and I know it's a really important question. Let me just tell you the net result right now. If you just went on to unemployment or PUA in March or July or April, you're not running out of benefits this week. You're not running out of weeks. And a lot of people have been asking me, there's no way in hell you're running out of weeks. The only people that are potentially running out of weeks are people who are already on unemployment in 2019 and are still on unemployment. Those are the people that are really of concern. But if you started unemployment in March or April, you're not running out of weeks yet. So please understand that. You need to add up the number of weeks. You start with your base number of weeks under CARES Act 1. Then you add your extended benefits weeks. If your state applied past extended benefits, you need to look up whether your state does or doesn't. And then you would add FPUC number of weeks on top of that. You would do the same thing for PUA. So you're not running out of weeks of benefits yet. Why is today so important for purposes of PUA and UI? And why is suddenly a deal being hatched or potentially being hatched by Sunday? Pelosi says it's because the president got COVID. It's just, whatever. I just don't believe that. My opinion is the same opinion as some other business news channels today. It's the jobs numbers. It was really, really bad. And it was so bad that Mark Meadows came out and said, it was wonderful. If someone says something that's really bad is wonderful, then it's probably extremely bad. This is new jobs created. It's a number that's put out that is circulated every month, once a month. This is not the jobless claims number. Every Thursday you get a number of new people who are going on to unemployment, new people. That's not this number. This is the number that you usually hear me say, I hate that number. The reason I hate the number is it asks how many people got new jobs this month and includes crap jobs, temp jobs, jobs you can't stand, jobs you're not going to stay at, jobs you took because you need a few dollars. And it makes it sound as though, it's wonderful new jobs that are created in America. No, these could be crap jobs just taking for a few days to pay some bills. And then you're going to leave the job after a day or two because you're sick of it because, or someone that only gave you a day or two of work and that's all you got. It's that number. Well, the crappy number that has crappy data in it had crappy results today. Wall Street was expecting an enormous number, and it was not good. The number was expected. Wall Street's expectation was the number was going to be 800,000. The number came in at 661. That's how low it was compared to expectation. This is a Labor Department number on new jobs in non-farm payroll. So these are non-farm jobs. These are not people working at the casino. And it shows that there was a big decline in government employment and an excess of workers in the workforce. Now, the number shows that jobs did increase by 661, but it did not show a robust rebound of this economy whatsoever. Now, you can take the number and take it out of context, which is what Meadows did, and say it's been the best rebound month in the U.S. economy since 1983, but it's really not a good rebound. It shows that things are just not moving. This report is an illusion of progress at a time in which we have accelerating gains in the labor market. The number of jobs added this month is just not enough, said Nick Bunker, economic researcher at the job placement site. Indeed, this report is massively concerning. We are not where we need to be, nor are we moving fast enough in the right direction as we head into the fall. There's a lot of things you got to say about this number. One, and this is all about PUC, this is all about unemployment. It's basically saying, yeah, there's some more jobs created, but we're adding jobs really, really slowly. And if we're adding them this slowly in August or September, we're really not in a good position going into the fall. Because guess what happens in the fall and the winter? All those restaurants with the outside dining, it's going to be too cold. No one's going to sit outside and eat in the snow. All those people that are, doing ellipticals outside in gyms in the front yard and are now facing 20-degree below weather in about a few weeks, they're not going to be doing it. So the fact that in the best environment now, the number's just percolating a little bit up, it's just really bad. The real question in my mind is why are consumers so upbeat and why they remain upbeat? The answer, I don't know. Persistent expectation is supposed to be, said Drew Mattis, chief economist at MetLife. People are underestimating the impact of how long we're going to be going through this. In this regards, there's some downside risks to the outlook. For the activity to rise after essentially shutting down for 2 months was never going to be too tough. Now is when additional positive economic surprises become harder to come by, says Seema Shias, principal at Global Investors. She says it's important for economic shoring to come forward. And what the economists are basically saying, so I can dissect this and make it very simple for you, is that the first stimulus package helped get us through a shutdown. And now that a shutdown has been generally lifted and we're trying to get back our economy that we had before, we need another round of stimulus to really get us back there now, as opposed to getting back there in 3 years from now. And this is really what's important, is that the recovery is too slow. Another analyst says the job market recovery is too slow going forward. A surge in coronaviruses in late 2020 could lead to further border closures. So they're not even discounting the fact that the situation gets worse with new jobless claims, with hotel, airlines, and transportation being shuttered even further. They're worried that currently the job growth is so slow that we could be this bad for several years to come if we don't get a stimulus package. It's for those reasons that I really do think that the deal is going to be hatched this weekend if Pelosi's telling us the truth, because this number is very bad. And it takes a while for stimulus to go into the economy. But I got to tell you, this is a September number, and we're going into an election just a few weeks away. And this number is going to be very clear and very front over this president's head. It shows the economy has not rebounded, and that you can continue to have Meadows come out in front of press and say, we're doing so great today, as he did with a purple tie, and say he had a V-shaped recovery when you really didn't. What's important to understand is that with FPUC, in the video in which I know I have a lot of economic data, what I want you to understand is that you really need that FPUC. You really, really need it if this economy gets as bad as the indicators now suggest. And I really do hope, and here comes my opinion, I really do hope that these people put pettiness aside. And if she's at 600 and he's at 400, just do it at 500. Just get it done. Or just agree at 450, or just agree at 550. And that we shouldn't really drag this on indefinitely. This is just silliness. I understand that we have really hammered her on creating a bill that was so bad, that had a lot of bad pork in it. And we aren't the only ones. This morning, Jim Cramer on CNBC said, this is a really bad bill from Nancy, and it has a lot of junk in there. It should be in there. But isn't it better to have a bad bill with a lot of excess pork than have no bill at all? Ultimately, that might have been what she was betting for. But in the end result, you really need that FPUC right now. And the good news is that it is retroactive. We had always worried about all those weeks, 10 weeks, 11 weeks since things had expired. Ultimately, it won't be retroactive to late July. You're going to miss a month. But it will be retroactive back to September 5th. And so in the net results of things, you will have lost arguably 4 weeks of FPUC. You could have lost upwards of about $2,400, which is $600 times 4. $2,400 because of this negotiation. Was it worth it? That's for you to decide. The low-hanging fruit has been picked, and the job market recovery will be slow further going forward. A surge in coronavirus cases in late 2020 will just make this worse. You would think the report would have put some incentive into the talks to get something done for more fiscal stimulus relief for people who are unemployed, particularly in some of the hard-hit sections like airlines, transports, and hotels, says Kathy Jones, head of fixed income at Charles Schwab. This seems to be confirmation that the pace of the recovery is heading in a new phase. Most of us anticipate that we'll get a little more help from the fiscal side to get us into the new year. And what she means is most of us hope that we're going to get a second stimulus package to push us into the new year. People always ask me my opinion, and I got to tell you, this number's so bad. It's so bad that even what I'm remembering back in my head was when I recorded in August and July, and I said, there's going to be a number that's going to come out in a month from now. I think this is what I said in July. And I know that it's going to be a jobs number in August. And when it comes out, the Republicans will say, oh, it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. It's going to be bad. And they're going to say it's so wonderful. And ultimately, I'm worried you're not going to get your stimulus because they're going to say it's so wonderful. This number is so bad that it's really hard for Mark Meadows to stand there with the purple tie and say it was straight face, and says it was a great number. It was a very bad number, and the president has to understand it's a very bad number. You can pitch a story to the press that things are great, but ultimately when people go to vote for you, they will see that the situation was not good. Coming up next is Pelosi versus Mnuchin, that special you love, in the rent spot with big developments, of course, about rent. As always, go to the French channel, subscribe because I'm really keeping you up to date by the minute and by the twists and turns. Also like this video. Coming up next is that special. Tune in for that. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, and stay valid for more.